Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank my friend and colleague from Texas. Chairman Brady has done an incredible job at bringing this tax cuts and jobs bill to the House floor. And today's an historic day, Mr. Speaker, for families who for so long have been calling out saying that they want to pay less in taxes. We answer that call today, Mr. Speaker. When you've heard the complaints, as myself and so many others have, every time we see a company move more jobs overseas, good high-paying jobs overseas, because America has the highest tax rate in the industrialized world, we finally do something about that today, Mr. Speaker, by cutting the corporate rates so that we can be competitive again and so that we can bring those jobs back home. Let's talk about something else that's going to be a benefit to hardworking families in this bill, Mr. Speaker. We finally simplify the tax code in a way that over 90% of American families will actually be able to do their taxes on a postcard. Just think of how much that's going to save for people that have to pay to have their taxes done because the code is so complicated and has become so massive that nobody can figure it out. We simplify the code. But let's go through those things. We lower tax rates. Everybody's going to see lower tax rates at every income level. We double the standard deduction from $12,000 to $24,000 that every family can take advantage of now. That doubled standard deduction is going to be a big win for hardworking families that are struggling. We eliminate special interest loopholes, Mr. Speaker. You might hear a lot of complaints out there from people who have been able to get their little piece of the tax code. The problem is every time somebody gets a special interest loophole, it costs the rest of us. Now we get rid of those loopholes so that everybody can pay less in taxes. That's a big win for hardworking families. Mr. Speaker, in our bill, we completely repeal the death tax, probably one of the most immoral parts of our code, where small businesses, family farms, if their loved one dies, the first thing they're thinking is grieving for their loved one. But immediately after, they get a big tax bill from the federal government that in many cases forces them to sell their small business instead of passing it on to their family. That's part of the American dream. They pay taxes on it. We repeal the death tax. We deliver a much fairer code, Mr. Speaker. But again, what this bill is about is finally putting more money in the pockets of hardworking families. It's about getting our economy moving again and creating jobs. Families recognize when they see the highest corporate tax rate in the industrialized world, tens of thousands of jobs, going to countries like Ireland and Canada. Look, I love Ireland and I love Canada. I just don't want them to have tens of thousands of our good jobs. Let's bring those jobs back. In our bill, we do that, Mr. Speaker. This bill is a win for hardworking families. This puts money back in the pockets of people who have been struggling so long, and it allows the economic growth that's going to see wages finally increase. After 10 years of a stagnant economy, it's about time we finally answer the call that millions of Americans have been asking us to do for so long, Mr. Speaker. Let's pass the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and get our economy moving again. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentlemen.